today's environment, it's more critical than ever to make great credit risk and fraud decisions up front. Regulatory changes, such as the CARD Act, require that consumers be notified well in advance before changes are made to their credit terms. This means that lenders must make much better credit decisions up front in order to be able to protect their investment. So for a private label credit card portfolio, there are a number of ways that we can actually implement better decisions up front through our origination process. So one of the things to consider is alternative data. We found a number of alternative data sources that provide great information that's not traditionally offered by the credit bureaus. For example, license information for consumers who have a position that requires them to have a state license in order to conduct their trade. So for example, a hairstylist in many states or a medical doctor is required to have a license for their profession. What we found is that the stability of people who have these licenses is much higher, and therefore this can be incorporated into our risk models to provide an additional insight into the consumer's risk. Another example that's being used is payments on cell phones and utility bills. For retail card portfolios especially, where we're trying to reach a broader set of consumers, it's important to be able to reach into the wealth of consumers who maybe have less credit data and might be scored as a thin file or a no file using traditional data. Well, using the alternative data, we can increase the number of consumers we can approve without actually increasing our credit risk, which is a huge advantage in a private label portfolio. Along with the alternative data, there come a number of additional credit risk models that allow us to get new levels of predictive analysis that was not previously possible. So by combining the alternative data with new risk models, we can greatly mitigate the risk of credit card defaults that we would see in a traditional private label portfolio. Now on the fraud side, there's also some very interesting things that are evolving. One of them is the use of geolocation data. And that allows us to identify fraudsters who are purporting to be perhaps in a store applying for credit, but are actually maybe not even in the same country. And this can be done even if they're using anonymizing tools in order to hide their location. Another great tool that we've seen a lot of success with on the fraud front is the ability to watch the velocity associated with a particular address. And what we see in this case is if an address has a large number of applications coming in that might be fraudulent, that is, multiple people, multiple social security numbers, and multiple applications for each of them, well, this is an indication that there is likely to be fraud occurring at this address, and using those fraud flags we can actually catch a lot of fraudulent applications long before they actually get through the credit approval process. So using these new tools, we're actually able to mitigate our fraud risk and our credit risk as well, using the tools to help improve our situation.